5 prominent sheiks from the West Bank city of Hebron want to pull out of the Palestinian Authority and join the Abraham Accord. That move is sure to be a topic of discussion in President Trump's meeting with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu at the White House tonight. Chuck Holton reports from Jerusalem.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is in Washington this morning for a high-stakes White House meeting with President Donald Trump. The two are expected to discuss a possible hostage and ceasefire deal in Gaza, dealing with Iran's proxies, and expanding the Abraham Accords.
During the conversation with President Trump, I will first thank him for his very strong mobilization in favor of Israel. We've never had such a friend in the White House, and our joint mobilization has brought a great victory over our common enemy, Iran.
Over the weekend, Israel sent a team to Doha, where negotiators are working to hammer out a 60-day ceasefire and hostage exchange. President Trump says he expects a deal with Hamas this week, but Netanyahu blasted the latest terms from Hamas as unacceptable and insists any agreement must guarantee the elimination of Hamas as a military force.
There are 20 hostages that are alive, 30 dead. I am determined. We are determined to return them all. And this means one thing, the elimination of Hamas military and governmental power. Hamas will not be there in Gaza.
Hamas has lost its grip on most of Gaza, according to an anonymous official who told the BBC that 95% of its leadership is dead. At the White House, Netanyahu is also expected to ask for a green light to strike Iranian nuclear facilities if Israel detects suspicious activity. He's also expected to push the White House to support stronger action against Iran's regional proxies, including the Houthis in Yemen, who resumed attacks on Israel and shipping over the weekend. Overnight, Israel launched extensive airstrikes on Houthi-controlled ports, radar sites, and a power station in Yemen. The strikes came after the Houthis launched another missile at Israel and badly damaged a Greek cargo ship in the Red Sea Sunday. Their first successful maritime strike in over a year. But Netanyahu remains hopeful.
There's also a great opportunity to expand the circle of peace far beyond what we could have imagined before.
That circle may soon include 5 clan sheikhs from Hebron, who formally asked to break away from the Palestinian Authority and join the Abraham Accords, recognizing Israel as a Jewish state. Meanwhile, in Gaza, 2 American aid workers remain hospitalized after a terrorist attack on the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation. The men, said to be highly decorated veterans, were distributing food at a U.S.-funded humanitarian site near Han Yunis when they were hit by grenades. Trump and Netanyahu are expected to meet Monday evening, and the outcome could reshape not only Gaza, but the entire Middle East. From Jerusalem, I'm Chuck Holton for CBN News.
Well, CBN White House correspondent Kelly Wright joins us now from our bureau in Washington, D.C. So, Kelly, what does the White House hope to accomplish with the meeting with Netanyahu?
The main thing they want to accomplish is a ceasefire. They want to broker that deal between Israel and Hamas and get the hostages back. That's top of mind for President Trump. He's always wanted those hostages returned. And, of course, he hears the demand from people who are saying, bring them home now. That's exactly what he wants to do. But he realizes that the impediment that stands in the way is Hamas, which has been a difficult group to deal with because of the fact that they've used hostages as a negotiating chip. And, of course, that frustrates Bibi Netanyahu. So the president wants to get Netanyahu to the table to broker a deal. Can he achieve that? He's saying that he's hopeful that it will happen this week, and he wants to get an incremental release of the hostages, some 8 to 10 hostages in this deal, get that ceasefire done and start brokering for a better peace throughout the Middle East.
Well, what's your forecast for the peace agreement? I can't imagine a future with Hamas still in control of Gaza. The ideology of hatred against Jews, against Israel, it just seems it's horrific. So is that part of this, or are they just silent on that until they get the ceasefire signed, the hostages returned, and then they turn to, well, who's going to govern Gaza?
Gordon, that's a great question. The president has kind of given his hand, if you will, if you look at the past visits that he's shared with Bibi Netanyahu. By the way, this is the third visit that Netanyahu has with the president since President Trump came into office. Here's what the president stated before. Let the United States control Gaza. Will he go back to that kind of rhetoric before that he so boldly stated even before the Saudis and Qataris, as well as the UAE, the United Arab Emirates? He believes that in order to broker peace, Hamas can no longer be in power. What will he do in this particular time? Will he kind of push that off, as you've alluded to? It remains to be seen. They're going to meet today, and we'll hear more about that visit and more about that meeting that he'll have when he meets with Bibi Netanyahu. Look, let's be very clear. The president does not want Hamas in control of Gaza. He believes this is, would be detrimental to the future of the Palestinians as well as the future of the Middle East.
Well, let's turn to domestic politics. If you're a Democrat, the big, beautiful bill is sort of the end of America. If you're a Republican, it's a big, beautiful bill. So how big of a win is this for the president?
It's a huge win for the president, and it comes on the heels of him having a string of wins. And it's one of the things that the president likes to say, hey, we're winning. But let's break this down. You talked about it's a huge mess for the Democrats. The Democrats will use this big, beautiful bill against the Republicans going all the way to the midterms. In fact, the Democrats are already and have been calling it the big, ugly bill. They will continue to say that this is really a tax break for billionaires. The White House and Republicans say that's not true. That's a myth. And the fact is that this is the largest tax cut in history for lower and middle class Americans who will receive some $10,000 in added tax breaks for themselves. And of course, it helps the rich as well. So it helps everybody. Scott Bessent, the Treasury Secretary, says this is parallel prosperity, that it not only helps the rich, but it helps the middle class and the poor and will return people to the workplace. Here's something else, Gordon. In this big, beautiful bill is border security, increasing the border, as well as expanding the energy. The president has always said, drill, baby, drill. And a lot of that will come as a result of this, too. So this is one big, beautiful bill that on its surface, and when you get into the details of it, some 900-plus pages, now that it's a law, you'll judge it by its fruit. And that's what many people are going to be doing. Be sure that the Democrats will look for ways to criticize this. But for the Republicans and the president, they believe that this is a bill that's going to help every American get on their feet. And then there's the question about, will it impact Medicaid? And the president, as well as the White House and Republicans, have stated that it will not impact Medicaid, that pregnant women, people with disabilities, lower income and poor people will still receive their Medicaid benefits. However, those who have committed waste, fraud, and abuse will be wiped out of Medicaid.
Well, President Trump's pause on tariffs, they were supposed to end this week, but that appears to be changing yet again. What's the latest?
So the president is giving more hope to those nations that have not dealt with the United States on the tariff deal. He's extending it to August 1st. They believe that there are more countries out there that have not come to the table yet. He is sending letters out to those countries. He believes it's better to deal with them, to put everything in writing. The bottom line is he is definitely not giving up on the tariff plan. He's extending it to get more people to the table. Deals have already been struck, as you know, with China and Vietnam and other countries. But he's trying to get all of those other countries back to the table. So extending it to August 1st gives him time to send those letters out, get people to the table. Scott Bessent, the Treasury Secretary, is certainly confident that that will happen. It's one of those wait-and-see things. We'll see how many countries actually come up to sign those tariff deals. If not, Gordon, they will go back to April 2nd. The April 2nd tariffs, which impose larger tariffs, some 10 to 50% on those countries that refuse to do business with the United States or bring their manufacturing base here.
Well, Kelly Wright, thanks for the analysis, and thanks so much for joining with us.